Hey guys, I hope you are all doing well. Adrian here from over at Pipe Dream Hookah, and today I have a pretty interesting video for you guys. I'm actually going to be shooting this video over at a lounge I have here locally called the Exhale Hookah Lounge, and this is a lounge that I find myself going to a lot. I know the owners and I know a lot of the staff really well, so I thought, hey, I'm here anyway, let's shoot a review. I want to apologize really quickly for the quality, as I do not have the proper mic setup yet, so there's a lot of background noise. And the gentleman that's doing the review with me, his name's Joe. Shout out to him preemptively. He did an awesome job because he was actually dealing with customers and people walking in and stuff the whole time. So if you see any weird micro cuts or anything like that that maybe don't necessarily make sense, it's because I had to cut out some stuff where he's interacting with customers and junk like that. That said, I'll go ahead and let the review play, and if you guys like this, let me know. I'll be doing more stuff like this in the future. However, I'm going to be doing some upgrades to my setup, including some type of a miking system, because you need that. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and let this play. Thank you guys so much for always taking the time to watch these videos, and here we go. What's going on YouTube? I hope you guys are all doing well. It's Adrian from over here at Pipe Dream Hookah, and you're going to notice that I'm not in my studio today. I'm actually over here at the Exhale Hookah Lounge with my good buddy Joe. What's going on, Joe?
What's up, man?
Say hi to all my people.
Hey YouTube, how are you guys?
Alright, today we're going to be doing a review. I'm going to pass this to Joe so I can show you guys what the hell we're going to be smoking. Today we're going to be doing a review. This is actually going to be a new product. It's going to be, well, it's not a new product to the market. It's a new line to my channel. And it's actually going to be a new flavor of my channel, obviously. It's going to be an Alchemist polar bear, and I've got a kilo container here. So before we get into all of our favorite shit, like the flavor, the scent, the cloud output, and all that stuff, we're going to cut over to some B-roll. I'm going to show you the cut on the stuff and how I pack it, so I'll be right back. Alright you guys, so we're going to actually look at this tobacco, and we're going to pack a bowl for you, but we're going to start by taking a look at the cut. It's important to note that a lot of different shisha tobacco brands, the cut on the kilo is actually a little bit different than it's going to be for their 250s, or in the case of Alchemist tobacco, they actually make 350s and 100 gram pouches. But you're going to see here that the cut's actually pretty fine for a blonde leaf. It's not going to be really choppy or anything, and it's pretty consistent. Alchemist has had problems with their consistency in the past, but over the past few months I've noticed that they're getting a pretty consistent cut going with their tobaccos. Now, in order to pack this, we're just going to do a semi-dense pack into our OG Rook bowl here. And Alchemist typically calls for a fluff pack or a semi-fluff pack, but I'm going to go ahead and do a semi-dense today because you actually get a pretty full flavor profile when you pack it this way. So I'm going to take an oyster fork, but you can use your fingers if you choose to. Make sure your tobacco's all fluffed up, because if it's too plumped up and dense, then you're not really going to be able to get it to the correct density. And you just load it around the spire to just above the rim. You can go ahead and use your fork if you want to kind of rake the tobacco around so it's nice and consistent. Now once you have it at about this point, you want it to be about that far above the rim, you're just going to go ahead and set your fork down, take a poker or a toothpick, it doesn't really matter, you can even use your hands, and just kind of lightly adjust the tobacco around so it's really nice and even. If you're using your fingers, just go ahead and make sure not to press down on it too much, because I'm using the term semi-dense pretty loosely. It's actually going to be a little bit less dense than a semi-dense, but there's no name for that pack, so to save time I'm just calling it a semi-dense. And that is what our pack is going to look like. Next up, we're going to go ahead and foil this bowl, and I will be using a Provost today. So we're going to use one layer of HD aluminum foil, shiny side down. Go around the bowl, make sure it's all nice and torqued down. Sorry about the camera bouncing. Kind of a bouncy table here. Once you've got it nice and drum tight like that, just go ahead and torque it down. Make sure there's as few ridges or ripples or tears as possible. And then we're going to poke holes. Since we're using the Provost, you're going to want to poke more holes than you normally would, so you can get some of the holes to line up with the holes in the bottom of the Provost. So I like to do one round of holes around the outside, spaced like so, because these aren't actually going to be underneath the Provost because of the size of the bowl. And then once you move in, you can make the holes a little bit more frequent. And since I'm using a Provost, I'll do one hole down the middle like that, and that should be plenty of holes for this bowl. And then as soon as our coals are ready, we're going to go ahead and drop the Provost on top, and we'll move on to the rest of the review. Alright, so now that you guys know what the packing method looks like for this stuff, we're going to go ahead and start with the main part of the review, starting, of course, with the scent of the tobacco. So I'm going to crack this open, and we're going to see what it smells like. At the front of the scent, it's definitely pretty sweet, but if you dig a little deeper, it's going to be a little bit bitter as well. I think that's probably going to be raspberry, and I think there's a little bit of passion fruit at the front of the scent. What do you think, man?
I get a raspberry as well, and I get a little sour hint to it. It's like it's a light hint of sourness, like lemon. But I think it could be just the raspberry itself.
All right, cool. Yeah, they might be raspberry. Some raspberries are sweet, some are sour. I've got no clue what they're going for there. But yeah, I'm definitely, it's like a sweet sour type of a mix, mostly sweet. But yeah, you definitely see there's some type of a raspberry in the background there. All right, but that's what it smells like. It's got a pretty good scent to it, but it's time to move on to everyone's favorite thing when we're critically analyzing any shisha tobacco, and that's going to be the cloud output. So I guess I'll start. I apologize for any background noise. We are in a lounge, so it's kind of hard to cut out some of the noise that happens here naturally. Hopefully I can get rid of some of it in post, but if not, you guys will put up with it, I hope. It's pretty good cloud content. What do you think, Joe?
I think it has great cloud production, very dense clouds. Nothing too overpowering though, so it doesn't fill you up too much.
Yeah, I can get behind that. The cloud content's pretty good. It's just going to be a blonde leaf tobacco. Typically, I've gotten the best clouds from like Trifecta's dark leaf, but the cloud content from this is pretty good. I'd put it up there with something like ugly hookah tobacco, or maybe even Trifecta's blonde wine. But now that we've gotten through that, we're going to move into the most important thing when you're critically analyzing any shisha tobacco, and that's actually going to be the flavor profile. As usual, I'm going to do it on both the inhale and the exhale flavor profile, because I do find that they differ just a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and start with the inhale. Yep. Okay, so far with most of the Alchemist tobacco I've tried, they do a really good job of representing the scent of the tobacco in the actual flavor. What I'm picking up on the inhale is definitely going to be a sweet flavor prominently with a little bit of sour on the back end. And I think that sweetness is mostly going to be kind of a passion fruit flavor for any of you who might be familiar with that flavor. And on the back end, I'm definitely getting some berries, prominently blueberry and raspberry. The bitterness of the flavor is, like I said, very much in the back end for the inhale. And with that said, let's go ahead and move to the exhale of the flavor profile. All right, so on the exhale, not a lot changes. What you're really going to see is a dip down in the sweetness of the flavor of the tobacco, and you're going to get a few more of those sour notes than you normally would. So if you say it's going to be a passion fruit and raspberry flavor, the passion fruit comes down a little bit, and the raspberry actually comes up just a little bit. So that's what you can expect with the flavor profile. What do you think, man?
All right, so I'm going to check out the flavor profile on the inhale and the exhale right now. Let's take a rip. On the inhale, I get that passion fruit flavor that he was talking about. There's also a little minty, there's a mint flavor to it as well. It's kind of just a cooling effect. Also, like Adrian said, on the exhale, there's a sour note to it. It's like a very light sour note. It's like lemony with the raspberry as well, so they pair up very well together. And there's still that cool minty flavor with it. Very tasty.
Interesting. Let me see that for a second.
Yeah.
I didn't notice any mint the first time, but I smoke everything with mint. I'm sure you guys have figured that out by this point. So let me take another rip and see if I can find that. Yeah, I don't know how I missed that. There's definitely a cooling effect in here. I can't figure out what it is, whether it be like a spearmint or a peppermint or a natural mint. It's just more of like a cooling effect. So I don't know if it was intentional, but I would rate it as maybe a slight menthol, and you normally hit it on the inhale, although it is prominent on the exhale as well. Alright you guys, so with all that in mind, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this video up. But before I rate it and give you all my plugs and all that garbage, at the end of the video, what I'm going to go ahead and do is go over a few more factors, starting with how well this stuff actually takes heat. And it takes heat very, very well. Up in this Provost, I actually have 3 charcoal flare flaps with the lid kind of crooked to the side. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I'll go ahead and post a picture right here so you guys can see what I'm talking about. but there's a lot of heat on this stuff, and it's been going for about a half hour now, and as you can see, the cloud content's just great, the flavor profile is doing very well, so it takes a good amount of heat. Now I do have around 18 to 20 grams of tobacco packed into this bowl, and I can expect to get 2 rounds of coal out of this bowl if I want to. I'm probably just going to do 1 round today. So as far as longevity goes, I think you could probably expect somewhere around an hour and 30 minutes to an hour 45 minutes. One other little thing I'd like to go over before wrapping this video up is going to be mixability. How well does this shit mix with other tobaccos? And if I had to make any recommendation, because this is such a nice fruity flavor, you could go one of 2 ways. You can mix it with something like a natural lemon mint, say Messiah's lemon mint, to add to that more sour profile. And if you want to go the direction of a sweet profile, I would actually recommend mixing it with something like Nectar of the Gods by the same brand to give you this really nice fruit medley. It's going to be very sweet to the profile. What about you, man? What do you think about any mixes?
As for mixing this tobacco, I'm a minty and a fruity guy myself, and I like that little kick of mint. So I think personally, I'd actually put a pinch of stone mint in there, just to kind of give it that kick, just with the fruit and mint together.
Definitely be careful with that stone mint though, because that is a burley leaf tobacco and it's very, very strong. So if you're going to cut this with some type of a mint, I'd go like 10%. If you're insane like me, maybe like 30%. Anything more than that, you're going to overpower the flavor, because I don't know if I went over this very well when I was doing the flavor profile cut of this video, but it is a bit of a light flavor profile. It's not absent by any means, but it's definitely not going to be the most robust flavor profile you've ever had, which is to be expected from a blonde leaf tobacco like this. Alright you guys, so before I wrap up this video, I'm going to go ahead and as usual rate the stuff on a 10 scale for you, and I'm going to take into account everything from the scent, the flavor, the clouds, the actual heat resistance, how long it burns for, and even mixability. And I don't have my cool little board here, I forgot to bring it, but if I had to rate this on a 10 scale for you guys, I think I'd have to go ahead and give it a solid 8 out of 10, just a straight 8 out of 10. And my reason for not rating it lower than this is because I really don't have anything to complain about as far as performance goes. It takes a good amount of heat, it burns for a long time, and the flavor stays consistent for most of the session. So I think you're going to get a really good session out of this. The only reason it doesn't go higher is because the flavor profile isn't overly unique, and it's not as robust as I like my flavor profiles to be. So if you're into a lighter smoke, definitely rate this a little bit higher, and you could probably not get away with rating it any lower if you're being objective, because the stuff performs with the best of them. What do you think about this stuff?
I couldn't agree any more with him. The flavor itself wasn't too powerful, but it was just like it was a subtle fruit, and it was a subtle mint, so it wasn't overpowering. Just like he said, it's a very light smoke, and it's not too heavy on the tobacco side. If that makes sense.
Yeah, this is going to be just a standard, I believe it's going to be a French, it could be Virginia flue-cured tobacco. So it's going to be really light stuff, pretty low nicotine content. This is actually going to be 0.05, pretty typical for a blonde leaf. So yeah, would you say an 8 out of 10?
I'd say 8 out of 10.
From over here at Exhale Hookah Lounge by Pipe Dream Hookah and my good buddy Joe from the Exhale Hookah Lounge, we're going to give this shit an 8 out of 10. Alright you guys, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys have any questions, criticisms, or concerns, go ahead and drop those down in the comments below. But before you do that, if you feel that this video brought you any type of value whatsoever, I would highly recommend subscribing, because I bring content to you guys just like this on bare minimum a bi-weekly basis. And if you're not getting notifications, make sure to hit that little bell, because YouTube's being weird and they're not telling you about stuff unless you hit that stupid bell. You know about that bell, right?
True.
It's a fucking annoying bell. And if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, but more importantly, if you hated the video, give it a thumbs down, leave a hateful comment down in the comments below. I'm still going to make videos, but I like to read them anyway. Thank you guys so much for watching, and Joe, thank you for letting me come into your lounge and do this.
Thanks for coming, man.
And you guys, happy smoking.
Happy smoking.